Hello YouTube and Patreon, this is Nathan P. Butler, and this is our project update for the month of July 2022. It has been an interesting and very productive month, although it certainly doesn't feel like it, but I guess it has certainly turned out that way thanks to some late nights where my son fell asleep early enough that I just belted out a ton of episodes from the Star Wars Home Video Library that I had notes for and hadn't had a chance to record yet, or that I had recorded and finally had a chance to edit. So kind of a productive month here, lots of episodes from the Star Wars Home Video Library. I'll give you kind of a quick update here, and then we will wrap this up. It is, again, late at night, and it's been a long, long day. So our semester wrapped up, our summer semester, or whatever you want to call it, summer term, wrapped up on the 13th, and then we put in grades and all that kind of stuff over the next couple of days. And you would think that that would mean that here in the last week or so, or half a week, whatever, I'm recording this on a Wednesday night, that, we'd have had a chance to kind of get out and do stuff and just be like, yay, school's out. Except on July 5th, my wife's car went in for servicing, needed a new transmission, and we just got it back today. That was the 5th. Today is the 20th. So for about 2.5 weeks there, almost 2.5 weeks, I was basically carless. My son and I were essentially stranded because she would have to take my car to go to work on a daily basis. So we finally got the car back today, so hopefully we'll be able to get out and about a little bit, get rid of some of this stir craziness here soon. I will say, though, that being off of work and kind of stranded did mean that I had a lot more time for solo board games while he just kind of played in the same room, so I got a chance to do that. I'll hit that when we get to the what are you playing stuff at the end. But just kind of an odd one. The summer term did go very well, though, and we're coming up very soon on August 1st, the beginning of pre-planning, a week of that kind of stuff before the new fall term starts. So should be, kind of ramping up here again very, very soon, but at least I have, basically the rest of this week and then next week to sort of decompress and relax before we're right back into the mix all over again. Although, honestly, I talk about how it's very helpful to have the summer school stuff and taking on extra students because of the extra pay that lets me do stuff like things for the collection or board game stuff through Kickstarter and things like that. Well, this time it helped pay for a new transmission, although that's mostly all that it did from this previous check. But that is, another good reason for it. Certainly emergencies do come up, but I gotta say, I think the more I think about it, especially not being able to get out with a vehicle the last little bit, I wonder if it also is sort of a subconscious thing for me to just keep myself from going crazy with nothing to do for that chunk of time. I'm at this point, having done summer school since probably 2015, I guess, I don't know what I would do if, even with my son with me, if we had 2 months of nothing to do. It would probably wind up eventually driving me stir crazy, or I'd write another freaking book or something. So that said, let's take a dive here into what has happened in this last month. Again, the end of one summer term, heading towards the next school year, my little bit of break here. The only downside is I don't get to visit family back home in Indiana. I say back home. I've lived here for 20 years as of this month in the Atlanta area, so it's kind of back home still. I lived there for 22, here for 20 now. I have to say, one bad news thing is I didn't get a chance to go up there this time because now that she does have the car back, we want to keep an eye on it for a little while, and that sucked up a lot of funds. So we're hoping to still get a chance to visit family sometime soon, but my usual summer or spring break time to do that, both of those went by without us being able to do so. So that is one downside of a very sort of chaotic little bit of time here. But that said, we did have quite a few things come out, like I said, so let's dive into those. But first, let me thank all of you who are backers over there on my Patreon. That is patreon.com/NathanPButler. Over there are those 3 tiers. The Travelers to the Butlerverse, that's the $1 tier. You get mentioned in videos like these in the credits, and while there's a manageable amount, which I think will always be the case, I will say them out loud here as well. On top of that, the $5 tier, the denizens of the Butlerverse also get audio commentaries, 2 per month or more, usually 2, but I put in some bonus ones from time to time. For the Clone Wars, we've also done all 4 volumes of Forces of Destiny, and then, of course, we're going to be doing Star Wars Visions soon, at least Season 1 of Star Wars Visions. Kind of depends on when Season 2 arrives, whether that one ever gets done or not. And then, on top of that, we have the $10 tier, the Nobility of the Butlerverse, who get an exclusive Q&A video every single month. So let me thank you who are travelers through the Butler universe. That is David Bittner, John Sullivan, Kai Jacoby, Story Mode, Travis Cook, Justin Richard, Jeremy Goss, Ben Abrams, Michael Torson, Jacob Kapoor, Tony Jenkins, Kevin Kriener, and Austin Pierce. Then we have the denizens of the Butler universe. That includes Jeff Rabjohns, Matt DeRocher, Walker Langstratt, Kyle Pellegrini, Joey Zitzman, Stephen Malicia, Robert Medina, Bobby Craig, Jeremiah Mustard, and Jaina Keller. And finally, the folks with that exclusive Q&A, we have the nobility of the Butler universe, Connor Steyerman, Matthew Hardesty, Innes, Jonathan Confer, Sam Howard, Andrew Bettis, Aaron Melzak, and Benjamin Handelman. Now, since the last of these updates, the exclusive Q&A for the month of July, it always comes out earlier than these updates, usually in the first week or so. The exclusive Q&A for the nobility of the Butler universe went up, and that was exclusive Q&A number 55. So lots and lots of those thus far. And of course, we had new commentaries released through the Patreon as well. So since the last update, which is on June 22nd, or at least posted on June 22nd, we had the July 1st release of Crisis at the Heart, which finished up the Clovis arc of Season 6 of the Clone Wars. And then on July 15th, we had The Disappeared Part 1, the first of those 2 episodes that are sort of a buddy cop kind of thing with Mace Windu and Jar Jar Binks, also from Season 6. Now, I don't think that I've recorded any more commentaries since the last update, or if I did, it was so soon thereafter that it all kind of blends together for me. But suffice to say, the ones that are now recorded and edited, ready to rock, ready to release here, include The Disappeared Part 2 for August 1st, The Lost One for August 15th, Voices for September 1st, Destiny for September 15th, Sacrifice for October 1st, which is going to finish up Season 6, and then we have Gone with a Trace on October 15th, Deal No Deal on November 1st, then on November 15th, Dangerous Debt, on December 1st, Together Again, which is going to finish up the Ahsoka arc, get us 1/3 of the way through Season 7. Then on December 15th, we have The Bad Batch, the episode that is, picking up then on January 1st with A Distant Echo. So I am halfway through the recording and editing for the Bad Batch arc. So there's only 6 episodes left to record for Clone Wars commentaries. All the notes are ready to go, and then maybe some type of like looking back on the series type thing so it doesn't end on April 1st. And I will then be doing the notes and whatnot to be able to record for Star Wars Visions. Now, I did make a post back on July 4th, not intending it to be Independence Day, but it makes it easy to remember, right? On July 4th, I made a post on the Patreon for those who are backers over there to get their input on the future of the Patreon. Again, I do not expect the Patreon to continue in its current form after the last of the Clone Wars commentaries gets released on April 1st, or the retrospective if there is one, or whatever it would be on like the 15th. So by the beginning of May of 2023, I do not expect the Patreon to then remain in its current form. I don't know how it's going to change. I do expect there will not be any more commentaries being released. Don't know really otherwise. Getting input, especially getting input on what to do with the commentaries themselves. Leave them up for a little bit and then have an end date and then just shut the Patreon down. Just tell people repeatedly, if you want the content, get on there for the $5 and get it now. Otherwise, you won't have access to it anymore. Make it available in some other form or what. So if you are curious about that and more deep thoughts about that, which I've mentioned in previous updates, again, it is over there for 4th of July over on the Patreon. So, and I believe, if I remember correctly, I did tag it. I'm skimming it here. But I believe I did tag it specifically so that the patrons would see it and others would not. So this is looking for Patreon supporter input. As for From the Star Wars Home Video Library, a ton of new episodes. Well, you know, a ton for now. I think there was a time when I may have even built it out more than this in a stretch, but that was, you know, pre-toddler, pre-baby, etc., etc. I feel like I'm really talking with my hands tonight, probably because I'm tired as all hell, because again, it is fairly late at night. So, lots of new episodes of From the Star Wars Home Video Library. We start with Q&A number 9 that was released shortly after the last of the project updates, and then we had episodes 443 through 454 and one supplemental episode. So, in the order of release, we had 443, which was looking at a VHS of The Stars of Star Wars, since we'd already looked at a DVD of it. 444 was a VHS of the fan documentary, if you want to call it that, A Galaxy Far, Far Away. That was looking at the VHS release. We had already looked at DVD releases of it. In a similar vein, episode 445 looked at the VHS release from the US of Star Woids, and the UK DVD release of Star Wars, having already previously looked at the 2 DVD releases in the US. And I will say on that one that the director whose work and whose bonus feature on the VHS I so highly praised actually commented on the video and shared a snippet of it on Facebook, so I thought that was pretty cool. Let's see, so then we have 446, which looked at tons of different releases of Thumb Wars, a Star Wars parody that was much funnier than I recalled when I went back and watched it here. Then we had 447. 447 actually went up twice. It went up once, and I had some wrong information, and I said, screw it, re-recorded it, and put up a new one. So the idea is that the finished version of 447 looks at a slim case Walmart release of the Laugh It Up Fuzzball Family Guy trilogy of parodies on DVD. I had thought that I also had managed to acquire, I think thanks to Matt Fry, what looked to be a variation of It's a Trap, the third one, the Return of the Jedi parody on Blu-ray. Only it would appear, thanks to an eagle-eyed viewer whose name escapes me right now, I apologize, but check the comments for that one and the episode, that basically that was actually the one from the boxed set. I had just not realized it was from the boxed set. So instead of just editing down the episode to make it just about that, which really was going to be weird, I just said, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to record a whole new episode. That's faster, frankly, to make it work right. So did that. Then we had 448, which was a VHS from the UK, so a PAL VHS, of a trailer loop for video stores for the 2004 DVD release of the original trilogy. Then we had the weird supplemental episode 20.1, yes, 20.1, going back years, almost a decade in the series' lifetime, to go back and look at the Best Buy Complete Saga bonus little Cinetype, little film cell recreation thing on its original card from Best Buy, instead of just the regular, there's like the postcard looking card with the Cinetype, but then it was on a cardboard card if you were to get it in the store. Mine hadn't had the card since 2011, finally found one that did have one and took a look at that. Then we had 3 episodes focusing on Laserdisc releases out of Japan for making of stuff. So we had episode 449 looking at the Japanese double feature Laserdisc, that is the making of Star Wars and SPFX The Empire Strikes Back. We also, in episode 450, landmark number, but again, we're over 500 episodes if you actually count all the supplemental ones that are already done, so I don't see it as big a deal to hit 450, but it was kind of a big deal, I guess, in at least regular episode numbers. We had episode 450 looking at the making of Laserdisc trilogy coming out of Japan from 1995. Those are the ones you could find together in one jacket in the second version of the Japanese Definitive Collection from the same year. And then we also looked at some earlier lasers, I guess ones that sort of fit in the gap between episode 449's stuff and 450's stuff in episode 451, which were the VAP or VAP company releases of Classic Creatures Return of the Jedi and From Star Wars to Jedi The Making of a Saga on Laserdisc from Japan. So pretty cool. Actually, I would note here, another thing that was kind of cool this month, when I got that Making of trilogy from 95 for episode 450, turns out that the guy I bought it from is actually the guy who is the designer and head guy, I guess, over there on Laserdisc Database, which I thought was kind of cool. Laserdisc Database, if you don't use it, lddb.com, amazing resource for Laserdisc collectors. And then we had episode 452 looking at a German Video 2000/V2000/VCC release of Spaceballs. Then we had episode 453, which looked at some cards from the 40th anniversary trading card set from Topps that celebrated Star Wars home video releases. I looked at 3 different cards with different, they call them parallels, different colored background versions of them, and discussed that in a little bit of detail. And then finally, episode 454 looked at the DVD and Blu-ray releases, plus a bunch of other goodies, and talked about the Kickstarter and crowdfunding and everything else for the documentary In Search of Tomorrow that includes a lot of Star Wars material. It was definitely a lot. As to what's coming next, as I kind of look over at my shelves, my guess would be the next few upcoming episodes, you'll probably see something on George Lucas in Love, the parody. Probably see something on Hardware Wars, but I really need to watch it. I don't know that I've ever, I'm sure I've seen Hardware Wars, but I remember almost nothing about it. Do a little research on the versions that I have of that. So probably those 2 coming up. And I think the next thing probably, hopefully even before those, is something that's coming in the mail soon. You may recall, which I always say in the episodes, right? You may recall that Empire of Dreams, right? The documentary that was on the bonus materials disc for the 2004 original trilogy DVD sets. That had a televised shorter version through A&E when it was aired on TV. And that was put up for an Emmy. So there are Emmy screeners out there for Empire of Dreams. And one of them was on DVD. And we've seen how, like, the DVD was on pages out of what appeared to be a book where the pages easily came out. I've never seen a whole version of that package when it comes to the DVDs of the screeners for A&E for that year. For VHS, there was a VHS in a little, slip cover. It's a regular cover. So I would have assumed, well, that was the screener that was sent out. Turns out that just like the DVDs were in a bigger package, so were the VHS cassettes of all the stuff in the running for Emmys, or they were putting forth for Emmys for that year for A&E. So recently on eBay, I've managed to acquire the entire VHS set, basically, of all those screeners for that year in one big box that includes Empire of Dreams. So we're going to look at that soon. It just needs to arrive in the mail for me. I don't have any other new stuff on the way. Right now, I'm kind of waiting before I make any other big purchases or anything to just kind of see where we stand after, we just paid for a transmission. We're probably about to use what bits are left to possibly just pay off my car a couple months early so we can start building up some cash reserves by having some car payments that aren't having to be made anymore and stuff like that. So it really kind of depends where that goes. There aren't any new releases coming out to speak of, so it's more like let's just kind of see where things stand and then maybe start hunting for some stuff that I don't already have. Beyond that, as far as writing or working on the spreadsheet or anything, haven't had time to really do any of that stuff. So that is no new news in any of that regard here. And then I will say, just kind of as far as miscellaneous stuff before we get to the what are you playing, what are you watching kind of stuff here, is that Butlercon 2022 is coming. If you're not familiar with the term, basically a while back when Matt Fry made a massive generous donation of basically his collection of Star Wars home video stuff into mine, there was a bunch of stuff that was either duplicates or stuff that I didn't need or whatever. So I took that stuff plus other duplicates and stuff like that I already had and basically just offered it to the community. He had offered his collection into mine for if I covered the cost of basically shipping it. So I did the same thing around that time after I had gone through it all to then unload it all to the community, essentially for the cost of shipping. And that somehow was dubbed, I forget who actually used the phrase first, maybe Matthew Hardesty, but I'm not 100% sure, dubbed as Butlercon of that year. And that in the Star Wars Home Video Facebook group, it kind of became like a running term for it. Not really a convention, but okay, whatever. It was a thing that brought everybody together to kind of get stuff. So I've just started going through all of my spares now. I've got some DVDs, some VHS, actually quite a few Laserdiscs, a couple of CEDs and stuff like that. Not nearly as much as I was able to pass along that was left from what Matt Fry donated to me. But I am going to be doing that for Star Wars home video stuff, Star Wars books, some board games, and stuff like that, some other home video stuff that I will soon be sort of unloading. And my plan right now is essentially to do kind of like last time, which is to offer the Star Wars home video items to the Star Wars home video Facebook group, have people basically, ask for whatever, first come, first serve basis kind of thing. I'll, I guess, have a link to a list of the other stuff or pictures of the other stuff because I don't want to post non-home video stuff in the Star Wars home video Facebook group and set a bad precedent there. But I do think this time, instead of asking just shipping for the home video stuff at least, I will probably wind up asking for like just shipping plus $5 regardless of the amount of stuff to be able to help cover the cost of having stamps.com open for a couple of months for the packing materials and stuff like that. So, it's coming. My hope is to get that rolling here within about the next couple of weeks. Hopefully before school actually starts, I can start the ball rolling on that process. So sometime in late July. So if you're not a member of the Star Wars Home Video Facebook group and you're looking to acquire some stuff that I might have to unload, you really ought to join that group ASAP. Again, it is facebook.com/groups/SW Home Video. And before someone asks, no, I'm not doing it anywhere else. That is the venue through which it's going to go, other than my personal Facebook page, and that is not something that I just randomly add people to. You're more than welcome to follow my author page, but the Facebook group is where I do most of the home video stuff. My personal Facebook page is primarily for, family stuff, jokes, talking about board games, whatever. But having a child makes it so that I want to keep the circle a little tighter on the personal page. So the home video Facebook group is where to jump in for that, if I can pronounce group correctly, because I'm pretty sure I almost didn't just then. All right, so beyond that, if you are not interested in the what are you watching, what are you playing kind of stuff, go ahead and jump off now. That's all there is to it for this month. Thank you very much for your interest, and I will catch you next month, when there probably won't be nearly as much stuff having just been released, because it's going to be a busy time at the beginning of the school year and just not a lot of stuff to record about. So just fair warning on that. But thank you for your interest, and I will catch you next month. For those who are sticking around, let's see here. So what are you reading? Right now, still trying to get through Kagan the Damned. It has picked up, but it feels like it's a much longer book than it looks like physically as I'm reading it on the Kindle. So I'm not getting a whole lot of times to read, and when I do read, that is what I'm reading at the moment. Let's see, what are you watching? Well, we kept up with Strange New Worlds until the season ended, and Obi-Wan, of course, by the time that ended. Ms. Marvel, that has ended, so now we're just kind of waiting for She-Hulk and Andor to both start sometime soon. I guess they're both in August. So not really watching a whole lot of stuff beyond that as far as current series, unless you count Stranger Things as current series, because basically I finally sat down. I was planning to watch seasons 3 and 4 of Stranger Things. Couldn't remember hardly anything about season 2 and only bits of season 1, so I've rewatched all of Stranger Things. I'm actually going to be finishing the final episode of Stranger Things probably tonight, so I can finally be caught up before, we wait months and months, or what is it, a year or however long until we get season 5. So Stranger Things pretty much is what we're watching right now. I do still need to watch Morbius. I do still need to watch the second Venom. I've got them. Haven't bothered to watch them yet. And I'm eagerly awaiting, in the near future, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I did finally see it through Disney+, but I do have the Japanese 3D version coming, which will be great, because I love watching stuff in 3D in general, but the Marvel stuff is usually pretty fun in 3D. Then I guess the big one will be, what are you playing? Because between being out of school, being stranded, and the fact that now on Sundays, I've got plenty of time to play a board game or something, because I can't record because my son flips his crap if I leave the room, which hopefully he will get over soon. Basically, I've had a lot of time for some playing of some board games that have been long neglected, sitting on my shelves and stuff like that. So video game-wise, I've really only played, I guess it's two things that I've played recently. Primarily Cyberpunk 2077, trying to work my way through that. I have no idea where I am in the progression. I haven't looked at the percentages. I'm sure I'm not very far, because I keep getting sidetracked with little side quests and stuff like that, and it's a pretty big game. The other one is, and I've only played it through the tutorial. There is a VR game that I really enjoy that is a simulation, basically, of a tabletop dungeon crawler board game. It's called Demeo, D-E-M-E-O. I played it on Oculus or Meta Quest 2 quite a bit, but haven't gotten back to it in a while. They've recently released a PC version of it through Steam. So I've been playing that, and that's actually helping me remember how to play all the mechanics and whatnot for the VR one, and I find it's actually easier to sort of learn. I'm catching stuff I realize I missed in trying to learn it in VR, moving stuff around in that 3D space. So Demeo, just a tiny bit of Demeo, but I hope to play a bit more of that one soon. The rest of it's basically in board games or tabletop games. So let's see. I think since the last time I recorded, I've played another game of Harsh Shadows, which is a fun little solitaire, searching for a spy kind of game. Then I played the first, I guess you call it an act. The first box, the first campaign box out of 2 so far of Hero Realms, the deck building game. Played that, Ruin of Thandar, in which my wife selected, thanks to me in my younger days with different glasses looking very much like Harry Potter, and the fact that I am 5'4", 5'5", she had me, she volunteered me when I let her choose the race and type of character to play a dwarf wizard. But yeah, so I played through the first, it's like 3 encounters or whatever it is. So that was fun. I haven't had a chance to open the second box yet, but I like the way the wizard is progressing. It is a progressive thing where, even though it's a deck building game where a lot of stuff resets, you were able to sort of build your starting deck to be a little bit different. Let's see. Played quite a bit, actually. I'm hoping to play some more tomorrow. Quite a bit of Descent Legends of the Dark. That is the newest version of Descent from Fantasy Flight Games. It's the one that is very heavily app integrated. I know there are purists out there who hate app-assisted or app-required games, but I'm finding that for co-op and solo, it's a fantastic thing, especially if there's hidden information. Like, I love Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition. I'm looking forward to playing through the solo or co-op version, multi-handed, campaign of Imperial Assault, using the app, the Legends of the Alliance app, and Descent Legends of the Dark is in that vein. I'm several missions deep into it and really loving the mechanics and the way that it works. I do find some flaws with certain things, but I do think that the app makes it a more robust game than it could have been. There's some stuff that you wouldn't need the app for. The app just makes it more convenient. There's other stuff that you really probably need an app for because of how deep some of the crafting system and stuff like that goes. So that's been fun. Let's see. Played a first run through of one of the standalone missions for Dungeons of Infinity, and I was very glad to get into that. Dungeons of Infinity was one that I had backed, but then had to back out of before the campaign finished, so I actually didn't wind up backing it, but I pledged and then had to back out. I've pledged for the 2nd edition and its expansion that's coming from the same company that's doing Isofarian Guard, but I did hunt down the original version that I would have gotten had I kept the backing to get a chance to play that. And it's very enjoyable dungeon crawler as well. Very much on dungeon crawlers right now. Finally played my first games of Horrified, the one with the Universal monsters. I'm actually thinking that was fun enough I may pick up the one on American monsters, although honestly, I have little to no interest in those particular like urban legends like Bigfoot. So I'm kind of like, who are these creatures anyway? So I don't know if I'm actually going to do that or not yet, but I probably will. And the big one for me, actually, the big one for me has been Return to Dark Tower. Love that game. My stepmom actually had the original Dark Tower in our basement for years, so I had a chance to fiddle with it. We didn't have all the pieces, so I never actually played it or anything. Unfortunately, it got destroyed by mold and was gone recently, got tossed recently. But Return to Dark Tower is really, really fun. It's just very different than the other type of games that I tend to play. It's played in one session. It's not a campaign game. It is app-directed. It has all kinds of cool stuff going on with it. It's one of my favorite games right now to just play. It takes maybe an hour, 2 hours at most. Just slap it down and play. And you can play true solo with one character, and it's still a great experience. So Return to Dark Tower has been a big one for me. I'm looking forward to its expansion, its other expansions, next expansion, that's going to show up as one of the first backer kit crowdfunding campaigns, where it's actually backer kit doing the crowdfunding, not just acting as a pledge manager here in about a week, give or take. Speaking of which, though, that brings us to the last one here, which is what are you back in, right? Talking about crowdfunding. I would say, let's see. So I recently did a late pledge for Return to Dark Tower RPG, the hardback book and the zine. Did a pledge, another late pledge for Tantrum House season, whatever the current season is, so that I could get promo cards for Set a Watch, which I have on the way to me now just from picking up on eBay. I'm really excited to play Set a Watch. I think it'll arrive tomorrow. I hear fantastic things about it. The playthroughs look amazing. Just really eager for that one. Let's see. On GameFound, I did back the new Button Shy campaign, the people that did Rage More, which I really enjoy, and actually also played recently. I did play a couple games of Rage More, a little wallet game. Back that for Spaceshipped and its expansions, plus actually another copy of Rage More, because I want to put a second copy of Rage More, which is that little wallet of like 18 cards or whatever. So I want to put one of those in my work bag, so that when I go for work stuff and there's a bunch of dead time where I don't go get food because my stomach and lactose intolerance can't handle half the shit that's out there to go by, I have to be very careful with it. I can just bring my lunch and play some Rage More while I'm waiting for everybody to come back for the rest of the meeting. Let's see. On Kickstarter itself, let's see. I did back a game called Survive Until Daylight, which is like a little zombie survival thing. much cheaper because it was in Canadian dollars rather than American dollars, and actually gave them some help with copy editing their rule book, which was eh. Let's see. I was going to be backing Epic Encounters Local Legends in order to get the Bard Sung content, because I have been enjoying Bard Sung, even though I haven't touched it in a little bit. But it was right as we were heading into having to get the transmission stuff done. So I had no idea what that was going to cost. So I just did the £1 pledge to get access to the Pledge Manager. I'll probably still eventually up that to get the Bard Sung content. It really kind of depends on what we see more of it between now and when the Pledge Manager itself actually opens. And currently, the only thing that I am backing as a current thing, it actually launched yesterday, which is Star Realms Rise of Empire. I enjoy the Star Realms deck building game. My wife and I play that when we get a chance to play much of anything. It tends to be deck building stuff. Hero Realms I prefer from the company, but Star Realms is pretty good as well. This is actually a legacy game, which would be one of the first times I've ever played anything that, in fact, the only time I've ever really played anything that's designed specifically as a legacy game, I suppose. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to see how that all turns out. They're unlocking all kinds of promos and stuff like that as we go here. So, yeah, most of those are stuff that was backed before we got the big hit from the stuff. In fact, the last big purchase I made before we got hit with the transmission needing to be replaced was Return to Dark Tower. And it was a bit overpriced because it was included a bunch of stuff that you could barely find, and I didn't want to wait for the next Kickstarter to be, to run the campaign and then fulfill and not get the game for months and months and months, if not a year or more. So I said, you know what, I bit the bullet, and I picked up the base game, the minis pack, the first expansion, which is the only expansion so far, the little plastic tokens, a little coin that goes with it, and the playmat. Dropped a pretty penny on it to get it all, but do not regret that at all. We had to shuffle a few things around. Do not regret that at all. So if you're a board gamer, Return to Dark Tower is probably worth your while if you're into similar stuff to what I am into, but we'll see. Never get a chance to really have board game conversations on the channel here. I do the videos from time to time, but never get a chance to really have it in depth. I feel like I'm so pigeonholed into the idea, that's the Star Wars guy. I'm sort of done to myself, right? Star Wars Timeline Gold, years and years and years and years and years of Star Wars podcasting, Star Wars videos all over the place. I've, of course, pigeonholed myself into that. But it would be nice to talk about board games once in a while outside of this. But yeah, I think that'll do it here on this late Wednesday night here in July 2022 from the Atlanta area. Again, I apologize for the lighting when it's nighttime. I don't have any sunlight coming in to sort of offset the lights in here coming straight down and lighting up my forehead like it's, friggin' end of days. So speaking of days, I'm just, my God, it's glowing! At least it is to me on my screen here. Hopefully it's not as bad for you. But again, thank you all for your interest. Again, next month probably won't have nearly as much stuff released, but we do have some more stuff coming, just not a ton of stuff. And I'm going to try to relax a little bit over this next week and a half or so of break before we jump right back into a school year again. Play some more board games. Maybe get through all of Descent Legends of the Dark. We will see. A set of watches probably going to distract me, as is Return to Dark Tower, but it's nice to be able to have a little bit of time to just kind of relax for once. I don't know what I'd do with myself if I had too much of that time, but at least for now, it's a nice balance between things that need to be done and just things that I would like to do for fun, and that's a good thing. So thank you guys for your interest, and I'll see you all in a month.